Everything you need to know about Newport Beach, California.
So here we are in Orange County, California. Now let's talk about Newport. Newport.
Yeah.
This is where Sean grew up and also where our babies were born. So we'll just go into, I'd say the majority of the different neighborhoods, what you're, going to get and all that sort of stuff. Where do you want to start?
That's a great question. I guess we can kind of go, you want to go south to north?
Yeah, you want to start with Newport Coast?
Yeah, let's go Newport Coast.
Yeah, so Newport Coast is actually a neighborhood of Newport Beach. It's not its own city. A lot of people think it's its own city. It's not.
Yeah, in fact, actually, if you do a search on the MLS, Corona del Mar, Newport Coast, and Newport Beach are three different search criteria for cities, even though Corona del Mar and Newport Coast are part of Newport Beach. But yeah. I digress.
Yeah. So I'm going to let Sean do most of the talking because he knows a lot about Newport Beach.
This is the land of the gated communities. So
Newport Coast.
Yes, yeah. So so obviously Newport Beach itself has, in general, you have a lot of, there's some beachy, you have obviously beach shacks with some nice homes that are let's say right on the beach or something like that. You have homes that are neighborhoods that are different ages. You have some expansion type things. So you have a lot of different variation in Newport Beach itself. However, Newport Coast is a little bit different in that there's a lot, basically tons of, there's associations here, tons of gated communities. In fact, almost all of it is behind one gate or another. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's my main knock on Newport Coast is that it feels a little disjointed because you can't really pass through the area super smoothly and go into different neighborhoods. But again, that's kind of by design because people want to be behind again, they just kind of want that more private setting, right? So you have just tons of different gated communities here. But these homes here, but everything was built 1990s and up, so that in Newport Coast. So it's relatively new, and you have some homes that are just absolute mansions, estates. These, the highest closed sales in Orange County have taken place in Newport Coast itself, where you're going 60 million-ish range as far as closed sales. There's some that are offered for higher, but closed sales in that 60 million-ish range.
Yeah, and you really get some of the most unbelievable views of the Pacific Ocean. Newport Coast doesn't really have anything that's beachfront. They're more on these cliffs, and then you're looking out onto the ocean, and these it just takes your breath away.
Yeah, so if we're doing a little satellite of this, for instance, so there's kind of one development that's on the coastal side of Pacific Coast Highway right here. So it's right over here. So you have a little bit, but yeah, as far as beachfront, a lot of this stuff is actually more nature preserve and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not again, which actually kind of is really cool because you obviously have this more just what California actually is by its natural, layout and landscape. So before we continue, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Sean Dezad.
And I'm Courtney Dezad.
And we're licensed realtors here in the state of California. And if you're watching this channel, you might be thinking, wow, Sean, I love Orange County. I love the blue skies. I love the perfect weather. I can't wait to move it here now. The problem is I'm not local. I may be out of state. I may be even out of the country. So I don't know what to do. I totally get that. That's why you reach out to us. So we can have that conversation, find out specifically what you're looking for, be your boots on the ground because we could tour these properties as well as the neighborhoods, really giving you a good sense of what that home has to offer. So that way, when you do come out here, your time is spent super efficiently. So what you want to do is you want to give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country.
And then, but yeah, Newport Coast itself, obviously you see so you have Pelican Hill, golf course, you have resorts. It's just nice. But that niceness comes with a price. You're not, and so, yeah, and famously, so you're rubbing elbows with who's who, you have titans of industry kind of thing going. And these golf courses ain't cheap. These resorts are not cheap. If you're looking for low price, Newport Coast is not where I would turn somewhere else, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, and again, you even still do have some areas where for shopping and stuff like that, you do actually have some shopping here. So Crystal Cove Shopping Center is right here. You have a lot, it's actually pretty, it's got to even have a Trader Joe's and that kind of thing. So it's not just everything's crazy expensive. So yeah, so you're spending some money to live in Newport Coast. But again, That's why you're here, right? You want to have the creme de la creme lifestyle. So as we move our way up the coast, right? So, so we're moving up and now we're kind of starting to hit Corona del Mar, right? So Corona del Mar, you have Corona del Mar is one of your favorite. I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with Corona del Mar in that I used to go to Newport Harbor High School, and so our rival school was Corona del Mar High School. So there is that, I just can't shake it a little bit. Mm-hmm. But Corona del Mar is awesome. I do like Corona del Mar a lot.
It is. It's very cute. Whereas Newport Coast is definitely, it's more, I would say, uniform. Although you are getting these insane custom homes, right? But there is more of a uniformity feel in Newport Coast. Whereas Corona del Mar is definitely very eclectic, very cute. It's just every home is individual.
Yeah, and along Pacific Coast Highway here, tons of like boutique shops or cute restaurants or that kind of thing. It's really nice from that perspective. So we're gonna compare that with, let's say, Fashion Island, which is very much a very big shopping mall. But along Pacific Coast Highway itself here, you kind of have that again. Really, it does get back up though. The traffic.
Oh yeah.
It's not low. It's not a little bit amount here for sure.
Especially in the summer when there's tons of tourists. It just makes you want to just, scream and yeah.
Oh yeah, summer, yeah, it backs up. So you want to very much avoid Pacific Coast Highway if you can, especially during the peak traffic times.
Yeah.
But again, you do have in Corona del Mar itself, you do have harbor front homes too. So you have a little bit of everything in Corona del Mar. So you have homes that are like along the harbor right here, right? So if you want a home with dock and that kind of stuff, you have that option. If you want not necessarily beachfront, because a lot of these homes are actually, it's actually like, here you have, it's kind of like a cliff, but you do have this beach. So you have Big Corona here, so this is a really cool beach right here, and then, yeah, Little Corona, yeah. So yeah, you have Little Corona, which is a little bit smaller one, but you have really cool beaches here. You have homes with amazing views, and then, again, it's really, really nice. And again, you do have homes that obviously are more teardowns, that are older, some really nice homes that were built. It's just a little bit of everything's going on in Corona del Mar.
Yeah, and just to give you an idea of the geography of Newport Beach, a lot of it does go from the beach straight up into sort of hills and cliffs. So there are a lot of homes that maybe they're not beachfront, but they have these spectacular beach views.
Yeah, especially on, again, the eastern of Newport proper, you do have this cliff phenomenon. As you go a little bit more northwest, you kind of have more the flat. Like it's more flat that way.
Yeah.
And then as we kind of go up a little bit, obviously we should just talk about where Fashion Island is right here. You have an outdoor shopping mall here, so you have Bloomingdale's, you have even like Cheesecake Factory, you have Macy's, you have a bunch of stores, right? Like, and it's outdoor, so it's kind of nice from that perspective. A lot of eateries, that kind of thing. You have movie theaters, all that stuff. So it's a proper shopping mall.
Yeah.
So that's where you can get a lot of your shopping done. And on top of that, again, you have golf courses.
There's Whole Foods there too, so that's a nice grocery store that's right there.
Yeah, exactly. So you have, again, what's nice is that you do have that, and then actually extending out beyond this is Newport Center. This is a huge employment hub. This is like a lot of professional services. So you have like attorneys, accountants, that kind of thing.
And lots of doctors.
A lot of doctors. A little bit nip tuck going on. A little. Newport Beach is known for a little bit of plastic surgery. So, I mean, you're gonna if you have a plastic surgeon in the Southern California, Orange County area, chances are you're going to Newport. Like in this, this Newport Center area for sure. And then as you go up a little bit more, you have like Big Canyon. This is really cool. So it's obviously golf club related right here. So this is Big Canyon. It's people really like Big Canyon a lot. Actually, it's really cool. Like I like Big Canyon, but it's just like if you're interested in the whole golf course community, that kind of thing, Big Canyon could be a nice option too. In fact, we saw there was a home that was for sale there for a long time that they put a lot of money into it. It wasn't really helping the value of the home. Like they're like, oh, $12 million put into it. $12 million you have to tear away from the home. So it's more of a fixer, even though they were trying to market it as like, it's all done up. So if you like gaudy, there's some possibilities there too. So, and then as we move a little bit further up, so for instance, okay, let's kind of like work like, so Balboa Island, right? So let's kind of work around here. Balboa Island is really, it's a really cute island. I mean, again, if you're looking for land, Balboa, like any of these harbor type of properties or beachfront type properties, look away. This is not going to be where you're going to get acreage. Right?
Yeah.
It's just a match. You're basically getting a footprint that is barely larger than the first floor of your home. I mean, that's kind of what you're dealing with here because it is densely packed to kind of give you a sense of what this is here.
But first, before we go into the islands in the harbor, let's just explain what exactly Newport Harbor is, and then also it goes into Back Bay. So
we'll first stick with the harbor itself, right? So this is kind of your harbor-esque, and I'd say like Pacific Coast Highway kind of cuts it off. And then as you go beyond Pacific Coast Highway, that's where you're actually into, like the Back Bay area.
Yeah, so this is Newport Harbor. It's one of the largest non-commercial harbors in the United States, if not the largest. So there's no large, big commercial freighters in there. I mean, there's some large boats in there, but they're all privately owned.
Exactly. Yeah, not like container ships or anything like that. So what you have here is if you're interested in ocean type of activity or water type of activity, paddle boarding, kayaking, sailing. When I was in high school, we were the world champions for sailing. Not that I was sailing myself, but that was our claim to fame there.
You are the sailors.
We were the sailors, so yeah, we lived up to that. So we basically have, this is, and again, it's because it's a harbor. It's very, it's relatively still in there. It's relatively glassy water. But yeah, so you have, and within here, you're talking about. There's some potentially extremely expensive homes that are, especially you're talking about harbor front, right? So you have some of these on the islands here that are not on the harbor itself that are, I don't want to say cheap because that would never equate anything to Newport as cheap, but it's less expensive. So like within, let's say, Lido Island. So if you like, let's say, for instance, Lido Island here.
So now that we've explained kind of what the harbor is, let's go back to Balboa Island. There's a little bridge to get onto Balboa Island. What's interesting is that it seems quite far away, but because of that little bridge, it's actually fairly centrally located, which is kind of weird because you just come down Jamboree.
Yeah, it's a straight shot.
Yeah, you want to just show
Jamboree's right here, right?
Yeah, so you show it with the...
Yeah, so Jamboree, which is a pretty major road, and this will, I guess, and even to illustrate this further, Jamboree is a huge road that runs like way into Irvine, it just goes on and on to like North Tustin. So it goes it just keeps going, but it dumps off it actually pretty much terminates at Balboa Island itself.
Yeah, and so the horror of the traffic that you might be getting in other areas of Newport, it doesn't feel as bad when you're going to Balboa Island, I feel like.
Yeah, and Arrested Development there. They have the banana stand,
right? The banana stand, although they didn't film there. It's so obviously filmed in LA. Anybody from Orange County is like, that's not Orange County.
Fake. So yeah, but Balboa Island, obviously you have like a boardwalk around the island itself, which is really, again, very pleasant to like just do a walk, run. I've done, how many workouts have we done? Yeah. Running wise, now walking, but back then running, like around Balboa Island, for instance, is one of those kind of fun things. But yeah, so you have homes that may have, like, they have docks here. You have like a little commercial strip right here, and also to the ferry, there's another commercial strip right here where you have a couple little things. But then you can't take the ferry across to get to Balboa Peninsula itself. So you do have a ferry that'll take you across. It takes like 3 cars at a time to get you there. But Balboa Island, again, it's not cheap. It's not a lot of land. It's just that you're kind of in one of those primo spots.
Yeah.
And then as we move up the harbor, I guess a little bit more. So Harbor Island.
Yeah. So
now
some of these islands, I mean, you're talking mega billionaires that are
living on it is. Yeah, it is literally like it's Billionaire Island. I think is what they've kind of dubbed this.
Yeah.
Harbor Island. You actually do get more land because you got that much money, basically. It's not like cheaper. It's just that, so Harbor Island is just one of those where, so
Bay Island, that's a
cute, actually you can't even drive a car onto Bay Island, which is kind of funny. So you have Bay Island, and then you also have Linda Isle here, again, not as expensive as Harbor Island. None of them are. Nothing almost in the world is as expensive as Harbor Island. But Linda Island's nice. And then, of course, Lido Island, I really like a lot. It's one of those where they don't have a boardwalk around them. Actually, Harbor Island doesn't either. It's actually gated. So...
And Lido Island is all residential. That's different from Balboa Island. Balboa Island has, restaurants and shops and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Lido Island, you're more depending on crossing this bridge to get to where all the shops are, basically, over here. And then, I guess if we're staying, like, down here, I guess we could just talk about the peninsula since we're just here anyway. So the peninsula, what's interesting about the peninsula here is that there's a whole lot of stuff going on. I mean, it's an interesting area because you have actually a mix of college kids that live here. In fact, we used to live there when we went to UC Irvine because, a lot of people just would rent during the 9 months of, let's say, the school year, and then the summertime is when the owners would make their money as weekly rentals and that kind of thing. So you have on one side the harbor living, and on the other side you have beach living, and it's literally 200 yards apart. I mean, it's just a crazy different feel, and these are actually nice, and these are some awesome beaches actually along the peninsula. I can't tell you how many times on the peninsula, but if you're interested in beach volleyball, if you're interested in surfing, body surfing, any sort of beach activity you can think of, like, you'll get that on the peninsula itself. And then you have like the fun zone, which is a fun little arcade area. This is where actually Balboa Island has that ferry that takes you across the way. So it's just, you think about it like a carnival-esque kind of such situation there. Along Balboa Boulevard itself, you have commercial stuff. There's a lot of like, vacation rental type stuff. It's very touristy.
Yes, it's definitely the most touristy spot of Newport for sure.
For sure, yeah. Unless you get to the very back end of this, like by the wedge, that's where it's a little bit less of the touristiness because it's just so far down.
Yeah.
And I will say, if you live on the peninsula, okay, it's very inconvenient to get to. We used to live at the very tip of the wedge here, like, right here. And oh my gosh, it's like 30 minutes just to get off of this peninsula. I mean, which was just, because it's like stop signs galore, lots of people crossing the crosswalk. It just takes forever to get off, to get to the freeway to get to wherever you need to go to.
For sure.
And then, and so that's what we're talking about here. And then I guess we talked about Newport Heights this way up, I suppose. And then Newport Heights itself, this is kind of where I grew up actually, is the Newport Heights area. And I really enjoyed it. It's rather convenient to get to because if you notice the 55 freeway is pretty, but in the general idea. So so the 55 freeway / Newport Boulevard, which is right here, this is pretty easy straight shot to get into and out of Newport. So you're in a rather convenient location here. And then again, along Pacific Coast Highway, lots and lots of shops and dining and all those options as well.
Newport Heights is also really close to Hoag Hospital, which is
very
so there's Hoag Hospital. It's a very popular hospital.
It's always is it like rated number 1 in the county?
I don't know.
It's up there. It's up there with there's the major cluster of hospitals in Orange County are in that orange area and also in Newport, right? So Hoag Hospital is perennially ranked very high as far as hospitals are concerned.
And then randomly Sidecar Donuts, although that's Costa Mesa. just show.
Sidecar, yeah, they're good.
They're good. That's East Side Costa Mesa though. So
although you would be finding yourself going to 17th Street is also now one of those shopping quarters, which actually does touch into a little bit of Newport Heights right over here too. And then obviously you have Dover Shores right over here as well. This is kind of now you're starting to get into the Back Bay kind of area right here.
So show what the Back Bay is though. So
okay, so back up again.
Yeah, so let's show what the Back Bay is. So
okay, so we're talking about, so this side of PCH is like Newport Harbor, right? This side is kind of where you're entering the Back Bay, and the Back Bay is a nature preserve, that kind of thing. They were going to develop it way back when, but the environmentalists, got in the way. I'm just kidding. So it was good that they actually did that. But actually it's really cool for running. It's really, I can't tell you again how many times I've run around this Back Bay, a lot of times. But the Back Bay itself is like, again, this whole Newport Dunes and blah, blah, blah. And then East Bluff. Yeah, so this whole preserves. It's about 11 miles, give or take, to run around the bay. So it's a good run. And it's kind of like it's a road and you have like some dirt on the side. You're not really roughing it by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just really nice to have. And Dover Shores on this side of the Back Bay, is kind of where you just kind of have some really beautiful homes. Really nice homes here. And then as we go up this way, we'll talk about like Santa Ana Heights. Santa Ana Heights used to actually not be part of Newport. It was Newport annexed it, but basically it's kind of where you can potentially get homes with actually some land in Newport. So it's kind of interesting from that perspective. And so you have equestrian type homes. Yeah, this is one of the few areas with acreage. Now, having said that, you'll notice that John Wayne Airport is right here. So you are under the flight path. So you have to be aware that you're going to hear some airplane noise. That's just the reality of it. It's one of those things that you actually get used to. Like, it's not one of those things where you're like, oh no, I can't. Because remember, John Wayne Airport doesn't have, it's not like LAX where you have like super jumbo jets. You don't have like 747s or Airbus 380s or anything like that. You have much smaller commercial airplanes from that perspective. So one, the aircraft is smaller. It's not it's not like a small dinky airport either. But like I'm just saying, you just don't have the mega jumbo jets. But you do, again, it is there. And also, John Wayne Airport, I believe their last flights are about 10 p.m.
Yeah,
so
they cut it off, yeah.
Yeah, so they cut it off. And also, they take off very, very vertically.
Yeah.
They take off because obviously, there's lots of money down here. Wait, okay, let me just back up a little bit. So this is John Wayne Airport itself, right? So John Wayne Airport's right here. And so this flight path, if it goes this way, and which we've actually done videos in the Back Bay where you definitely hear the airplane. It's worth having to pause for that purpose. But you have a lot of homes that are very valuable that are along this flight path. So what John Wayne does is take off. So if this is land, they take off like that.
Yeah.
It's almost like a rocket ship. It's pretty insane how quick, how vertically they take off. In fact, some pilots actually won't fly in or out of John Wayne because it's a little too vertical for their comfort level. But it is also so you do have that potential noise. And then I guess to kind of finish this off, because we're kind of getting close to the end of this, East Bluff is also another neighborhood. This is actually kind of in the vicinity of where Chronomore High School is. That again, it's just like along the Back Bay. It's along Jamboree, close to Fashion Island. So you're just kind of really, it's very nicely located, actually, very conveniently located.
Yeah, very close to Irvine.
Yes. And then I'll say, so depending on, this is a quick overview of, obviously, Newport Beach. We can go into way more detail. We've had tons of videos on Newport, which we can link to. But also at the same time, if this is something that you're more interested in, you feel like this is a good fit for you, obviously reach out. We can have that conversation to kind of find out specifically what neighborhood in Newport might be, based off of what your needs are, might be a better preference for you.
Yeah, and I'll link right now to a tour of Newport Beach because now we've done it in a map. So we did a tour. It's a really long tour. It's 45 minutes of all of Newport Beach. So if you're interested in that, I'll link to it right now.
And remember, we are licensed realtors here in the state of California. So as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, what you want to do is when you give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country.